what's happening. So, anyway, we'll bring it up at the 5 o'clock meeting, but I know he wants to kill it. Number 2, Tommy, who's here? Okay. Tell me about number 2.
They're wanting to rezone this to B3Q for a storage facility, and the planning commission recommended it unanimously.
Okay. Ray Thornton, that would be Glenn Pruitt deal, yeah. Is it a part, is it a, what is it now?
It's 01 right now, office.
Okay, and they want to make parking, another
Storage facility.
storage facility, okay.
Yes.
All right, okay. We'll see how Glenn feels about it at 5 o'clock. Okay, good deal. Number 3. You know about it, attorney? You know about number 3? Waterworks trying to sell some property. Is this the property?
Out there, the former parkway.
This must be the property in the, Hopewell. Nobody
Somebody
knows
in the
about it.
waterworks gonna be
You
here
know
when they
nothing?
talk about it.
Huh?
Someone from the waterworks will be here.
I'm sure there will be.
Isn't this the one that y'all done previously? And remember, if
Oh.
it doesn't happen within a month, they have to come and get a new one. I'm thinking
That's
that
what this is
West-
all about.
I think
Yeah,
that
this is that
Westco has
one
been
for the,
before y'all before.
I think this is the, no, this is for,
The industrial park out there?
Oh,
I think it may be for the, Amazon.
Yeah.
I think this was hanging on Amazon.
Okay.
Can they explain?
We'll find out what it is before we vote on it, okay? All right, number 4. That's just a,
Good afternoon, Council.
tell us the rest of the story.
So we're coming to reallocate, well, we're not amending our 2019 plans, our plan with our emergency shelter funds under the coronavirus. We had 2 projects that were not able to spend funding quick enough. HUD notified us in the week before Christmas that we were to spend 80% of our total award of $1.7 million in CARES Act funding for the homeless population. And the 2 pots of funds here that we want to reallocate are from the Mid-Alabama Coalition of the Homeless, $500,000, and $30,000 from Salvation Army. The $500,000 was geared for rapid rehousing activities to pay for things like rent, utilities, arrearages in those types.
Excuse me a minute, but I got a report here. I don't speak Spanish, do y'all?
We have to advertise it that way. When we
Okay.
this is the actual advertisements.
Has to be advertised in
Yes,
Spanish?
we have to
What about
advertise it
English?
in English and Spanish.
There should be a copy in there. There should be 2 copies, one in Spanish and one in English.
Yes, there should be. Do you guys have the English version?
Yes.
Maybe I got it, I just can't. Okay, you made your point.
Sorry.
Okay, I got the English version now.
Okay, so I just want to let you know that the reallocation of these funds are not new funds. They're not going to a new emergency shelter. They're just being reallocated within each other. And the $500,000 that was awarded to MOC, Mid-Alabama Coalition for the Homeless, for the rapid rehousing portion of it, due to HUD sending out a requirement that those that were seeking those type funds had to first contact the U.S. Department of Treasury to spend those funds. And for those that were calling in may not have a qualified form. For instance, if they were under a housing authority voucher or if they received assistance from FEMA, they did not qualify for these funds. So we're having to reallocate them to the other shelters there so they can spend them quickly on things like passenger vans where they can take the homeless, the folks in their shelter to medical appointments, Social Security, for PPE purchases, for food, and the Crisis Center is going to buy 4 mobile units that will include a shower and restroom combo, an ADA compliant shower, and restroom combo.
Is this the
A
new-
laundry facility.
The new mental health crisis center?
No, those funds are not going towards that.
No, this is the one over there on Augusta.
Okay. This one EMA takes care of? Okay.
Christie, yeah. Well, and I got a couple of questions. When we get the showers, the mobile units, will they be stationed like downtown or something, or will they kind of be over there as well?
They're being purchased for the crisis center, but
Okay.
as those activities wind down, they will be going around the city. So they'll have access to, it's a washer dryer stackable unit, the restrooms and the showers, and they'll be for use all over the city, as long as they're in the city limits of Montgomery.
That is wonderful. I love that.
Mid-Alabama Coalition for the Homeless will get some good use out of those too with their street outreach.
Right. Will it be a volunteer running it, or is that like a drop? Will it be a unit that drops, they leave it and come back and pick it up?
No, it'll be manned at all times. It will be manned at all times.
Okay.
And then I have a quick question about the Salvation. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did I hear you say that you guys carry people, part of the unit, carry people to the doctor occasionally?
That's Salvation Army now.
For instance, Friendship Mission and Family Sunshine Center, they need passenger vehicles to be able to take those that need case management. They'll go to doctor's appointments. They'll be able to take them to get their driver's license and social security cards and things like that to help them be able to get back out, and to sustain themselves. So
Okay.
it'll be the vans will be for multi-use, and the shelters really need some transportation. The vehicles that they have now are horrible. And they're big ticket items to help us spend money quickly, because HUD will do another test for us on March 30th. And if we have not spent enough funds by that date, then they will consider taking some of those funds. So the Salvation Army was not able to spend them. We're waiting on them to submit their final invoice of $10,000 that we've been waiting on for months. But we're taking, the $30,000 was their allocation in the second pot of funds. But at this time, they have no financial capacity. They have no capacity programmatic to run this, to manage these funds. So we're taking, and they're fine. We've already talked to them. They're totally fine with giving those $30,000 back.
No, my question's kind of the thinking. I know the fire department just gets overrun with people, medic calls where the medics are their doctor. If we had something that we could better use, some cars to carry people to the doctor, we might take some of that burden off the fire department. That's what I was.
If they call, if
Understand
those folks are in that situation, they call 211 and they need that, or, it's for the homeless population. And under-
Just for homeless?
Yes.
Okay.
These funds.
Under HUD funds, everything, there are certain populations that if we have those funds, particularly for emergency shelter, they're only to be used for the homeless population.
Sounds good.
Well, and have you heard where the Salvation Army stands? Or have they found a space? Are they relocating? We don't know. Well, just because you mentioned them, I just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no, we don't know that. It's kind of hard to communicate with them sometimes, because I know they've had problems with their phone system, their internet, and so on and so forth. We're trying to help them get that last invoice submitted so we can close that out, but even that is a task, so.
Well, we appreciate it. Thank you for what you do.
Very good, thank you.
guys. Oh, and if you haven't visited the Warman Center lately, you might want to. They're doing a fantastic job over there.
I know, I saw it, the renovation, that back room. I was over there with Christy when I had COVID. I had to go over there and.
They are using one of the wings at Crisis, and the Crisis wing is going to be back operational full-time starting Monday.
Oh, well, good. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Number 5 is a grant
I'm just thinking how we did that.
authorizing the mayor read to get a historical commission. You know about that? Yeah. You got something to talk about.
Good evening, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
This is the first year that we have been officially a certified local government to be able to apply for funds from the Alabama Historical Commission. I'm calling it our Sea Legs year. I spoke with Kelbree, who submitted the resolution, and she upped the amount to the maximum. We anticipate that we'll only be requesting $3,000 in the initial round to do training. We do have the match for that, to bring in professional training for our boards. If there are excess funds at the end of that grant cycle period, we may be able to apply for those additional funds if someone else has the 40% match for it.
Okay.
So,
I love it. What's your name?
Christy Anderson.
Oh, Christy, hello.
And so this is a commission that's applying for it, right? Just the historical commission?
This is the Alabama Historical Commission, which is the State Historic Preservation Office. And every year, they are required to allocate 10% of their federal appropriation to certified local governments for preservation projects.
Okay.
So we're just kind of learning on this one. And again, I'm hoping that if they do have excess funds, Counselor Johnson, I've been talking to Lynn Causey about your King Hill project, and I sent her some information to see if we could come up with a district in that neighborhood. So that may be something, if there are additional funds, if there are expenses related to that we may be able to apply for later in the year.
Right, yeah, I love this idea. We definitely need it. We have a couple more areas that we can use this for in District 3, and
Yeah.
I'm sure in District 4 as well.
Okay, thank you. Number 6, package store, we'll have a public hearing on that on number 6. That's in Decatur Street, that's you,
Oh,
isn't it?
that's me.
you.
I spoke with them, did a walkthrough with them. This is, actually, they'll be doing it by delivery.
Really?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it won't be anybody going inside. They can, but it's a 24-hour operation, very lit up, security fence. I talked with the lawyers and the actual general manager, so I am going to approve this.
Okay. Number 7, Hookah Lounge
It's all right.
downtown. This one must be you too.
It is. And they are going to be right here on South Court Street, right around by the fountain.
Okay.
If you go up, it used to be the Village, I believe, but, again, right next to Red Heron Bookstore. I think their occupancy is like 45. It's gonna be an adult environment, 30 for women to get in, 25 for women, 30 for men. So I'm gonna approve this one as well for some
Okay.
entertainment downtown.
Good deal. Number 8's reappoint my appointment, Airport Authority. Number 9's Plain City appointment. Number 10's Museum Board. Number 11, another appointment. Number 12, we're gonna tear a few down. Number 13, okay.
Meeting adjourned.
That leaves us down to somebody wants to talk to us, okay?
Hey, Charlie,
Yeah,
I missed number 1. Can we go back and as a council sort of figure this thing out before, and I know Brantley's not here?
Brantley's got 300 signatures of people against it. Brantley is adamant against it. He will vote a no. Okay?
Well, yeah.
Huh? What's that?
Is that the discussion?
Well, I don't know there's any, how long are you gonna discuss something?
No, I mean, no.
These people intimidated folks outside this chambers on the way out the other night. They were adamantly bad. And I'm very upset with the way they acted. So I don't think they would be very good citizens in a business that's got liquor. That's my personal opinion, okay?
Glenn, I'm gonna go with Charlie on that.
Let me say this, Charlie. I think they were kind of frustrated because of the runaround they have been getting on that situation. So I do emphasize and sympathize with the frustration that they had. So I think it's a conversation that we need to have at the regular meeting.
Well,
How you feel, Glenn? You brought it back up? What you
Mixed
thought?
emotions. I know she has done everything that we've asked her to do. I do know.
I think she's a front. I think those guys are using that woman.
And they possibly could. I don't know them from Adam's house cat.
They don't look like they fit in the same room together.
Hey, Glenn, you can ask the ladies in license. They've had a couple of stories. They were having parties before they had a license. I have a rub with that.
But-
Oh,
but-
me too, and listen, and, you know, we can always put qualifications on her. If they're open, we can have her close at 12, and we can have a 30, 60, 90-day review of her.
You can close at 8 o'clock.
And, you know, that's another thing that I wanted to bring up to this council is looking at all of our, and while Chief Harris is here, looking at all of our bars across the city. I mean, do we need to be open till 5 o'clock in the morning?
No, I wouldn't be, you know, Chief would have to answer. I don't care if we close them at midnight.
And I
Close
think-
them all.
I don't either.
And let me
Isn't
say
that a
this.
special case?
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
No.
Hold.
I think when we go paint a broad brush on closing all bars and clubs, we got to understand these are legitimate business within the city with good patrons. When you gonna paint a broad brush across the board that everybody closes at midnight, not everyone operates the same. So when you say the restaurant at Central, they sell alcohol, if they're open to midnight, you gonna close them? If they're having a special, I think we just got to be fair, and we have to take these things case by case on how we grant liquor license in this city. I'm not gonna be in favor of just saying we're gonna blanket across the board, close everybody at midnight. What we gonna say about Montgomery? You know, are we saying everything closes
I
at
know
midnight?
exactly what we're gonna say about Montgomery.
I know, I'm not gonna agree with that.
And
so-
you know it, and I know it.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
it is what it is. We have
It
problems
is what
right
it is.
now.
We want to open this city up and bring entertainment in. We talk about all of this stuff we want to do. If we get a concert downtown at Montgomery, so we shut everything down at midnight? Come on, guys, be real.
And I just have a problem. You talking about Bama Lane is 0.5 miles from Morning View Church. It's 0.7 miles from Morning View Elementary School. It's 0.8 miles from Capitol Heights. It's 1 mile from Robert E. Lee. But we hadn't had not a one petition on closing Bama Lanes.
You only have one problem.
One problem with 6, 7 people shot.
And two,
And we hadn't had any problems with
Two
Exotic.
security people
We hadn't
there.
had not a one problem with Exotic. That's on record.
Where?
Exotic
They
Lounge.
ain't open, well, they've
Well,
advertised
they have
everything.
opened without a license. I think
And who
that's-
haven't?
operating
Our
that-
apartment complex have opened without a license.
Well,
Hey, y'all gonna take this.
I can just say that I'm,
They don't open, they just run without it, Rhonda.
What's the difference?
and we got a lot of that. All right, let's talk to the people. Michelle, you had something to talk about Office of Violence Protection, Prevention?
Yeah, they supposed to be here. Look like we'll talk to him at the council meeting because he
Okay.
don't want to
They
come,
didn't
but we
show
gonna
up?
talk to him.
They may be out, they may
We
be out.
gonna
prevent-
talk to him.
They
He
may be out
run.
They
preventing
didn't
violence.
show?
He
Wait a
here.
minute, hold on. You said they may be at what?
Preventing violence.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And then
Glenn, you're not
Mr.
wrong.
Bigg's supposed to be here too, I don't see him here. And then Wade Preston with Prevail Coffee. Hey, Wade, you're here, okay. Tell us what's going on. I know what's going on, I've seen your problem.
Yeah, well, first, I do want to say, came to speak a bit about our homeless community downtown, and I want to say that these people many of them are my friends, and they've done things for me, helped me out on occasion, and I don't want to speak generally with a bad, just a broad brush and speak negatively across the whole community. But like any community, the homeless community has folks that seem to be trying to do right and make their community better, and then there's plenty that also are not. And what we have experienced since probably since COVID has happened is, as I say, desperation trickles down, and we've seen an increase in the homeless population and loitering and harassment of employees and vandalism and just petty offenses that you see from a large homeless community. And I don't think that the homeless community in Montgomery is large compared to other cities around the size. But we do, since our downtown is going through the beginning of kind of a revitalization, what we do see is a larger ratio of the homeless population compared to just people walking around downtown.
Do they sleep in front of your store?
I don't know. I know that we used to have a nice swinging day bed that was on our back porch that we had to eventually take down because it was falling apart, and that we would come in on occasion, and we would have
Ain't gonna
folks
happen.
sleeping on the daybed back there without a mattress on it or anything.
I see them on the benches out front from time to time.
Yeah, and that has kind of been an uptick for us, and of course our business is kind of has pretty good volume in and out, so that's where the people are. So whether they have homes or not, that's where people are congregating. Now for me, the issue that I see is that Dexter Avenue down to Commerce. I mean that's the front door of Montgomery. When people come to Montgomery for the first time, that's where all the history is. That's the most important mile in America, Dexter Avenue, and that's where people go when they come to Montgomery. And having a welcome mat, so to speak, for our community that shows how we tackle issues like homelessness and in a compassionate but practical way, I think is good for our community. And I think that we need to kind of revise the way that we go about handling this problem. I think it was a couple years ago, we just flat out outlawed panhandling as if, throwing people
And we got sued,
yeah.
You understand the lawsuit we got from Southern Part of the Law Center and
Yeah.
ACLU that stopped us from dealing with appeals.
Yeah, I think that maybe we can find better ways than,
If you can
cracking
find
down
one,
on
please
things.
tell us, please.
Yeah, I have a couple of suggestions. I don't pretend to show up here with the solution to a 1,000-year-old problem that every city in history has ever dealt with. But I do think that if we had an increase in the presence of a public safety officer on the Dexter to Commerce corridor, basically going from the river up to about Chris's Hot Dogs, and I don't think it particularly has to be a police officer, but some public service officer that's just, I'm on a bicycle or something that every now and then is going by, particularly like the benches in front of our establishment, the benches on the plaza, just folks that are, in a perfect world, even getting to know the members of this community and holding them accountable to being good citizens in a firm but compassionate way, and saying, hey, you've been on the bench for a while. You've been hanging out here a little too long. Let's move along. Let's find somewhere else to be. There's not that kind of presence. We don't have a vigilance for that sort of thing. If we had half the vigilance for keeping up with these
That's
things.
what got us in trouble with the panhandlers. We were moving them along, and they said, no, you can't do that anymore. Southern Poverty Law Center told us we couldn't do it anymore. We lost a $10,000 lawsuit to Southern Poverty Law Center because of that. So every time you see Southern Poverty Law Center, ask them to take care of the panhandlers in this city, because they're the ones that created this mess, and they will not take responsibility for it.
So the idea of having an increase in public safety officers is something that can't happen.
If we say something to them, we're in violation of the lawsuit.
Here comes the chief, what the chief's got to say.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say that this is dealing with homeless population is something that we've been dealing with in public safety, the city of Montgomery. As the president stated, that we have this injunction that was passed down, but one of the things that our law enforcement officers are doing is they're going out there, and we've approached it from if it's a situation that warrants anything that we have to look at as far as enforcing the criminal law, we can look at that as far as the expectation, but what we do is an outreach approach. We go up and try to identify the people who are in this situation, see if there are any needs that we can provide from the city of Montgomery or resources within the city. Also, one of the things, the river officers that are downtown, they're familiar with most of the population. Some of the ones that are coming in, they know them by name, they know them by who they are, what their needs are, and what issues that they're having. So they have a working public safety relationship with identifying these people that are in the situation. We also have our peer support that works with our department, that works with Montgomery Area Coalition for the Homeless with MOC. Dealing with Ms. Pickett and trying to look at their needs that they have, but they also are trying to get a social worker that can work with them. So we're looking at different levels of approach that we can address the situation. And if we could put more police presence everywhere throughout the city, not just downtown, we would definitely do that. But with the resources that we have currently, we're actually putting them out there and making contact, understanding and knowing who these people are and what the deficiencies or dilemmas that they have with resources that's putting them in a homeless situation. So we are addressing it, even though there's an injunction, we're still actively looking for solutions dealing with the homeless population.
Mr. President,
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Stacy, the injunction against us on the loitering, is that injunction, is that specific for Montgomery?
No,
It's statewide?
it is. It was a federal opinion, but yeah, it applies to, one of the criminal laws and one of the traffic laws for the state of Alabama. Prohibits us from enforcing them.
As it pertains to businesses, does anyone know the kind of easement rights of a business when it comes to trespassing?
A lottery.
Huh?
How do we handle lottery? If it's my business and you're just lottering in front, harassing customers come in. I mean, that shouldn't be legal, no kind of way. I mean, you don't have to be homeless.
She better stop.
We
So-
still deal with we still deal with the trespassing. If the private property wanted to do trespassing for someone that was sleeping on a bench on their property, once they do the warning that we don't want you sleeping here, and this person is back there again the next day, and the business wants to secure a warrant for trespassing, then they can do that as a private business. So that's still something that's enforceable. But often what we'll see is, because people are in this situation, they run into this issue a lot, so they know after the first warning, I'm gonna go to another bench at another business.
Right.
So sometimes they migrate around to different areas to kind of circumvent the legal system when it comes to trespassing.
Yeah, and I'm trying to figure out a solution that maybe is more nuanced and you know, I don't want to be heavy-handed or anything about it, but also like hold people accountable, you know, within reason and take practical measures when things are getting out of hand. And, you know, specific to my case, which I think this is a general problem, and I'm not here to solve my particular problem, but as an example, you know, there are 2 benches out in front of our establishment, and at any given moment, you know, there might be 7 or 8 folks who have been out there for, you know, hour and a half at least, and they've, you know, asked every person just about that's come by, like, hey, you buy me a cup of coffee, or you know, and I don't understand exactly what my rights are there in terms of like, do I call? Is that
I think you do.
is that prosecutable
Yes.
for trespassing, even though that's not my property, or is that harassment of my customer, like, or do I just have to, like?
Well, if you call at least to let the police department know that you have someone out here that's engaging with your patrons, that still have their First Amendment freedoms to talk to people freely, but at least it brings the police into the situation. Because we also see, on the other hand, where we have business owners who don't think that they're a problem, and they're safe if they're there in front of their business, and they give them food, they give them money because they want to help them. So not everyone is on the trespassing part of the spectrum. Some people want to help in that situation, and they feel complacent and comfortable in those places because business owners sometimes allow that activity to take place.
Yeah, and I think that's where my nuanced course of action here takes in, is like, I don't mind somebody sitting on a bench for 8 hours in front of my place. I don't mind a couple people doing it, but when we get to the, two's company, but eight's a crowd.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we
They're
run
not
into.
customers,
Like,
that's-
So, Mr. President, this
Yeah.
is a question for Stacy. So there's a lot of gray area, and Wade and I are friends, and I go to Prevail just about every day, multiple times a day. So, you know, I kind of see what's going on, and it's unfortunate. And I do want to commend Wade not only for taking an entrepreneurial risk in Montgomery and being successful, but caring about Montgomery, and he would not be here today to try to figure this out in the right way if that weren't the case. So let me just get this straight, maybe, or you can straighten it out. So if we, the city council, or one of us wanted to pay for city benches on the sidewalk in front of the Southern Poverty Law Center headquarters and offer resources there, they have their own private security that would presumably remove them from their real estate, but there's also a sidewalk in front of the same thing could happen there. So we could just have a resource center, basically, with benches and snacks and resources at their headquarters. Is that,
I can understand what you're saying, Clay. I know I spoke with Mark as Chief was speaking about, and the director has some really creative ideas on what to do to tackle the population. It's going to take some funding that they're going to request with this ARPA funding, but that social worker is needed. There need people on the streets, because some of these people that are homeless, they don't want to go to Salvation Army. They don't want to receive certain help. They may need mental services, but it needs to be someone on the streets doing that, and we can't expect our police officers.
Correct.
We need them other places. So I do understand, Wade. I've been there to Prevail. I brung a couple of council people, so I understand. I see it every day. But I guess I can just ask that you be patient with them. And I do understand that they're impeding on your customers and other people just walking down Dexter, but we have to find ways that we're not impeding on their rights as citizens.
Yeah, and I think this is probably, and I haven't really gotten into this yet, but the bigger issue at this point is, you know, like I said, it's just like you, I know most of these folks, and we know, I mean, if you hang around downtown, you know the names, you know the faces, and you know that 80% of these folks are just fine. You also know that 10 or 20 of them, 20% are a transient group that is kind of hard to pin down, that you're dealing with some mental health issues or addiction issues that cause some, you know, legitimate anxiety. And we've had occasions where I've got, early 20s female baristas leaving work at 6:30 in the afternoon, you know, getting followed back to their car and harassed because they happen to be working the register when we had to kick somebody out for being, you know, a little unwieldy. And I know that what I see in Montgomery is a food, beverage, hospitality industry that's growing commensurate with our tourism rates that are hopefully coming back in the spring. And what I see is that as that food and beverage industry curve goes up, the workers available are going down in a big hurry. And I don't think we're going to be able to recruit or train or hold on to the type of talent if, you know, that's another aspect. I can't imagine if you're leaving a coffee shop at 6 in the afternoon, that's one thing, but you know, if you're closing down your bar shift at Aviator Bar or Lower Lounge and heading back to your car at 2 a.m., that's a whole different ball game. And it causes a particular, I mean, it just seems like a safety issue that is waiting to turn out badly one day. And not because I have like a broad mistrust of the homeless community in general, but I know that I've had run-ins where I've had to step in between people of these folks, like I talk about, the transient population that can be quite problematic on occasion.
I think the answer to your question is, at this time, call the police and get them to move the folks along that are harassing your customers.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do for you.
Yeah, the only other, suggestions I throw out is like, I don't know how collaborative the city can get with the NPOs and churches in the area, but there's a lot of churches in downtown with a lot of money and a lot of resources and a lot of congregants, and we got more nonprofit organizations in this town than anywhere in the world, and I think we mentioned one by name that has poverty in their name, anytime we can get the NPO community and the faith community involved to reach out and love their neighbors and build the beloved community that was birthed right here in Montgomery, then I think we should reach out and do that. So, and I don't think there's any laws against folks reaching out to their neighbors and holding them accountable whether they have homes or not. So, thank y'all for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
can you go ahead at this time, I don't know if you got to do it in the meeting, but can you put a Rondé and Ed on that public safety committee?
I'm about to hand that out, the new standing committees,
Okay.
and everybody will see them as a whole. And I was going to send those.
You'll have to do it in a regular
I'd do it
meeting,
regular
because I have
session.
to spread that in the minutes.
Now, if I want to call a public safety meeting, do I got to do it in the minutes?
Yes, sir, you're the chairman,
Do
you
I
would
gotta
have
do
to.
it-
And you're going to do it.
Do I got to do it during the meeting? or
regular
can I
meeting.
do it
Yeah,
at
the
any
regular
time?
meeting.
Can I do it at any time?
You
Ad hoc is in a meeting.
You can call it anytime you want to.
Thank
just
you,
have
Ms.
to give
Blaylock.
7 days notice.
Thank you.
You can't call it right now.
Oh, I can call it anytime.
Call it.
You just have to give 7 days notice.
You don't even know who on the committee.
You don't know what you got.
He already made it.
You're not the chair anymore.
All right, Glenn, all right. Meeting adjourned.